Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for August 29th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I am here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 25 live feeds. It was day 27 in the house. And yesterday, yesterday, the update was like day 26 was kind of an easier one, that I was like, look, that we got a Mara Corey going on. There wasn't much happening. That was the day today as well, here on day 27, until things happened. And then they spiraled out of control. And I expect this is an update that a lot of people will want and or need to hear. So with me to talk about it all is Beth. How you doing, Beth?
Doing great, Taran. I was sitting there yesterday thinking, man, the season really has calmed down a little bit, and I'm going to be able to go on, have a nice, relaxing chat with Taran about the updates. And of course, the house guests did what they do best, which is cause a little bit of chaos in the middle of the night. So I'm excited to break it all down with you today.
Yes. So how we're gonna do this is that there's basically like one inciting incident that just spirals in out of control, and I will do my best to walk you through how it started, what it spiraled into, and where we've kind of left off for now.
The cliffhanger, where we are at.
Yeah. So of course, catching you up on where we are at the beginning of the day here. Here's a little graphic for you in case you're watching along. Cameron is the HOH. He nominated Jag and Blue. Red won the veto, and the veto ceremony happened. The veto was not used. That was part of the day, but totally irrelevant. Probably should have been used, but what are you going to do? So that's kind of where things are. But of course, between Jag and Blue, Cirie, Felicia, Mimi, Izzy, and did I say Mimi?
You did. Jared?
Well, not Jared.
Not Jared yet.
Cirie's side was thinking, you know what? Oh, Matt, of course.
Matt, okay.
They were thinking, let's keep Jag, because Jag is a stronger competitor to face off against Cameron and Red in the next HOH, or really just Red, because it's Cameron can't compete. And on top of that, he'll be a bigger target in front of them. I've talked about why I think that's actually a terrible idea, but they like it, and so they want to do that. But of course, that's 5 votes. There's 10. Cam is the tiebreaker, and so they are very convinced that they need to keep Corey and America out of the vote, and they need to get Jared in, and they want to tell Jared at the last minute, but on day 26, when Cirie approached Jared early because he's her son, and let him know that they were going to do that. And he basically was like, I disagree with that idea, but it is what it is. But also, screw them for making this plan without me, but it is what it is. And then talk to Blue about what they might do if she were to say leave early before the jury, and then they were separated for a little while. So that's kind of where we left off heading into day 27.
Yeah. And I think what we're also seeing is how even just these little splinter groups are still counting Cirie as like their number 1 or number 2. So you have Red and Cam who are like, yeah, we're definitely in with Cirie. So whatever Cirie says, we're going to do. You have Corey and America who maybe don't have as much faith that especially Red has in his relationship with Cirie, but there's definitely this feeling of like, okay, like I think we're in with, the majority. That's what we care the most about at this point. It's just making sure that we're there. And at this point, we've got a lot of leakage happening between, Red's funneling information, that Corey's feeding him information, and that's causing a lot of chaos, I think, on the Cirie side of house, and how Jared also is seeing things.
Yes. It's important to talk about at the start of the day, at least, and then we'll circle back around to it at the end of the day. Corey in America, the other thing that happened on the night of day 26 was that they finally broke the cuddle barrier. But the rest of the boundaries are still up. But like they're a showmance now. They're in it. They had that like oh, we stayed up all night talking and then
Yeah.
became a thing moment. And so that is where their heads are at
Yeah.
during all of this.
Yeah, Corey in particular is a little bit, even though he's definitely the one maintaining more of the boundary of what they're going to be doing, he's also a little bit dickmatized right now, I will say. And I would say that his decision making in terms of game and really reading into the relationships it's not the strongest right now.
I would say at least half of his conversations through the day are about America, talking about
Mhm.
America, thinking about America, talking about how, like, literally, like, he is having trouble sleeping at night because of anxiety about America and the situation being on TV. His head is not in the game.
No, not at all. And the same thing is also being recognized for Blue, who is on the block, and people are saying, "Hey, well, she's not even talking to anybody right now." So it's very much known that these two kind of showmances don't have their heads in the game right now.
Yes. Jared's head is getting into the game a little bit here based on hearing from Cirie the day before that Blue might be in trouble, and he's gonna talk to Corey in the morning about how, like, listen, like, he hasn't been talking to Corey much because he's been distracted with Blue. Now Corey's distracted with America, but Jared
Yeah.
wants to rekindle this.
Right.
With all of what's happening with Corey, Jared is the one person that's like not concerned.
Yeah.
Because because he trusts Corey and he doesn't think that Corey's one of his people.
Right.
And B, because he also like recognizes that all of the stuff that Corey's been caught doing is not actually as bad as it seems. Like
Right.
when he talks to Izzy about going to the final 5 with the Crossroads and she says it's the final 7, he doesn't really buy that it's the final 7. And also when he gets caught telling America things, he's like, yeah, whatever. I tell Blue things. Uh, and the concern that he is feeding information to Cam and Red is a new fear for them. But Jared is going to correctly point out
Yeah.
if he was actually feeding information to Cam and Red, actually turning against us and feeding them valuable information, it would be me and Izzy or me and Cirie on the block right now because of all the crap that we've been talking about them. So clearly he's not actually turning on us. But nobody really hears those arguments. But it does mean that Jared still trusts Corey and comes to him with this information or with the information we're about to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, again, it's interesting that you're kind of talking about these two relationships, these two showmances, essentially, and how they're weirdly intertwined through the Corey and Jared relationship. And I think that Jared has brought up a lot of points that we're going to discuss tonight that I think are actually quite valid and from his point of view, which I didn't think I'd be saying on a morning update when it came to Jared's gameplay. But I think a lot of the things he's saying with Corey are actually providing more fuel for the fire against Corey with his alliance rather than actually helping out the cause. Be like, no, Corey could be a trusted ally for us.
We're going to talk about this, of course, but like the main thing with Jared for me is that he refuses to just be like, trust me, I've got this person.
Yeah.
Like I have influence. Like, trust me. I think he knows that they would say, well, no, you think you do, but you don't. But also like he could literally just say to his mom, I've got Blue. Believe me. He goes to Corey and he says, listen, I feel like we need to take out some of the numbers that surround Cirie and Izzy. And because here's the thing, Jared doesn't get along with those people very
No.
well. Jared's people were Jag and Corey and it's Blue and all of the young crowd that he ratted out. And now, he's being told that these people who are leaving him out of discussions are the people that need to stay in the game and are the people that are trustworthy. And so Jared is feeling like, I don't like this. Like, those aren't my people. They're leaving me out of discussions. They need to go. I want Corey to take them out. And he goes as far as to warn Corey that those people, they're concerned about your relationship with Cam. They think that you're getting too close. And Corey's like, "What? No, I've done such a good job of making sure that I've shared all the information that I have that I in conversations with them." Um, and Jared's like, "No, this house, the information just goes so fast, and if you're not the first person to say something, then you're out of luck." And Corey's like, "But I feel like I immediately go to, like, I talk to Izzy so much." And he's like, "Yeah, and who do you think it's coming from?" He's like, "No, come on. I've worked so hard on my relationship with I'm close with Izzy. That's not happening."
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me how none of these people can look at the people they are working with and understand how they operate at this point. Like, how many times has the vote potentially last week flipped back, all that kind of stuff? And Corey was like at the center of the not budging. And it's amazing to me that Corey, a potential future lawyer, cannot see that this argument is valid. I just don't understand how you could not be able to read the people who are in your alliance and how they perceive and take in information.
Especially because this was, like, his superpower in the first 2 weeks of
Yeah.
the game. Like, this was why he was so successful, is he was so good at reading how people were responding to what he was saying, that he was able to, adjust. Like, he read Cirie the first time they talked. He was able to read, Hisam, obviously. He was able to read his position, get in with people. He was able to read Jared when he was talking to Jared about, like, "Okay, he's not liking this thing, so let's back off
Mhm.
here and move in this track." My theory right now, that what I think is happening with Corey, because it's weird to see somebody so good at something and then all of a sudden be terrible at it, is genuinely that, again, he's so distracted
Yeah.
with America, and not even just in, like, the vague sense, like, oh, he's distracted with America, therefore he sucks at the game, but in the sense that he doesn't want to commit mental energy
Right.
to solving a new problem in the game. He's stuck in the past. He's stuck in last week because for him, the game, if it's stuck in last week, means that he can put that in the back seat and focus his energy on America, figuring out, does she like me that much? Am I gonna ruin things if I keep these boundaries up? I want to keep these boundaries up. What's going to happen with all of this? Is it going to work on the outside? I would imagine is part of what he's thinking. And so he's so focused on this. When Jared comes to him with information that's like, "Hey, the game is knocking and you're in trouble," he's like, no, come on, please. He has a lot of incentive to be like, "No, I don't believe that because I don't want to have to deal with that. I've got this other thing that's incredibly stressful that's keeping me up at night, that, like, I need to deal with over here."
And I think the thing with the game of Big Brother is that if you're not on the block, you have this almost false sense of security, right? And if you're not on the block, you actually have to be thinking about next week. If you're on the block, you're thinking about this week. And Corey's in this privileged position in the game, and so is America, of not being on the block. And so, therefore, the mental energy is going towards how am I coming across? How do I maintain this? I think you even said this yesterday on the update, which was how are we like he probably planned every aspect of the game except for what happens if I end up being in a showmance, which I'm sure someone like Corey, just how much he prepares for literally everything in his life. This was the variable he didn't plan for potentially.
Yeah,
So I think it makes a lot of sense that if information does come to him that kind of sets off the alarms, I think he'll react fine and be able to, be able to. I trust in his abilities to be able to pick up the game and move. But with that said, there is a part of me that's like, maybe the thing that needs to happen is America needs to go up on the block next week and see what happens to his gameplay. Now, obviously, that's not good for America, but if we're talking purely from Corey's perspective, I do think he needs a little bit of a wake up call.
for sure, for sure. A couple of other little things being sprinkled in throughout the day before the main thing gets kicked off. Blue is gonna continue to talk with Felicia, Jared's mother. Now, I will say, it has been mentioned to me there are some theories. There are some conspiracy theories out there that it's possible that Blue has figured out the truth, that it's actually Cirie. They've gone through the video and they're like, well, maybe she's just saying it's Felicia now, but she actually did figure out it was Cirie. I'm not like fully convinced, but the theories are out there. I wanted to give voice to them. Certainly her behavior doesn't seem to track that because she's spending a lot of time with Felicia.
She's her
And
shadow.
yeah. Like talking with Felicia about Jared and how she likes Jared. Talking about like asking her about how she feels about things. Felicia starts talking about like grandchildren. And it's very funny.
It's so funny. And then like last night, Felicia cooks the meal and Blue helps with the vegetables. And, there's just like this idea of like maybe, all of us are filling in the blanks that, Blue is probably thinking, man, is this what Thanksgiving's going to be like? Where, I provide the sides and, mom is cooking away at the mains. It's just, there's so many aspects to I think Brian Cohen was the one that tweeted the side quests for for this season so far. This is one of my favorite ones I think that we've seen in a long time, and I'm really, really hoping that should Blue get voted out, I kind of wish she says something along the lines of like, all right, well, just so you guys know, Jared and Felicia are related. And then Cam out of nowhere will go, well, yeah, and they're related to Denzel. So lots of connections here.
It would be really great if Julie was like, Blue, there was a secret relationship in the house. And
I
she's
already
like,
got
oh,
this figured out.
I know. Jared and Felicia.
She's like, what if I tell you that it was not Jared and Felicia, and instead it's Jared and Cirie? And Blue, no, Julie, no.
You're like, that's the weirdest lie. Why would he lie about that?
Why didn't he just tell me it was Felicia? Or Cirie, not Felicia. But I am so confused as to what, like, if Jared, if you're going to tell her, you might as well tell her the whole truth. Like, I feel like she's going to be more mad that she was led in the wrong direction than that she wasn't told to begin with.
Yes, well, if you're wondering that about Jared, you will probably wonder about this because Blue is going to continue to talk to Felicia throughout the day. Also, then has a conversation with both Felicia and Cirie. And they're all talking about her relationship with Jared. And Blue is like, yeah, it's not going to impact anything for me strategically. In fact, like I keep saying this, like, if Jared is going to go out of this house, it's going to be on my HOH, she says to the two people she thinks, one of which is his mother.
Those are just the best ways to prove your loyalty to your potential mother-in-law. Listen, I would do anything for him, including getting him out of this house because it's best for my game. What do you think about that mom who's clearly working with him, and also real mom that I'm not aware that is your real mom?
Yeah. Could you imagine like going to meet the parents of your partner for the first time, or at least the first time that you've met them, knowing that they're the parents of your partner? And in that conversation, they're like, listen, you hurt my son. That's no good. And you respond essentially by saying, hey, if anyone's gonna hurt your son, it's gonna be me. I'm the one.
I would like to personally screw your son out of some money. That's really what I'm here for. And then all of a sudden, Gold Digger starts playing, and you have all these different aspects. It's just such a weird dynamic. I just constantly wonder, what is Blue actually thinking strategically, and I don't think there is much, if anything.
Well, Jared is going to ask her later in the night, and the answer was, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Genuinely, that's what she said while trying to explain. So that happens. One more thing. This happens later in the night, but I want to get it out of the way early. We talked a little bit about a couple days ago, Matt, and his language use, talking about America, calling her the B word. He had another incident here last night. They were talking about Taylor, and like Taylor and Joseph, and Matt was like, well, they didn't date outside of the house, and they were like, no, yeah, they dated. Like Taylor and Joseph is, it's Taylor.
For a while.
And Matt was like, oh, right, they did, yeah. I guess they let that Monty thing slide, huh? That's weird. That's really weird that they would let that slide. And then says, and by the way, Blue is like, oh, that's what I said. And then he goes, yeah, her and Monty, she did it for the money. Just kidding. She did it for the vote. And Jared, of all people, had to be like, I feel like he would do it for the money. She won.
She won, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. There's just a lot that there was a conversation that happened last night too that was just like a perfectly benign, just normal conversation with like Bowie, Cirie, Matt, America out at the hammock, where Bowie's like, Matt just says things that are just so funny out of the blue. Like, I never would have imagined that he was this funny. And there's a part of me that just thinks maybe this is how Matt thinks he's connecting and bonding with some of the people in the house, is like through this level of like, hey, I'm trying to be funny. Not exactly funny. And also not hitting the mark with certain people in terms of how you're viewing other house guests in the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just like, how is Taylor still catching strays? Like, are you serious with this?
It is 2023. It is a whole new season. Taylor, I don't know if Matt is aware, Taylor's not actually in the house this season. I don't know. It has no impact on his game. And yeah, we're just digging a hole here. It's been really fascinating to watch. I'm also curious to see, if Jared relays this information to, Cirie, Felicia, especially Izzy, like, what is the dynamic with Matt within that final five that they're thinking going to be like, or final six going to be like?
I don't think Jared will say anything. I think I don't think it registers enough for Jared to be like,
fair
how
enough.
dare he?
But if he ever did, what a fascinating new wrench to throw in the plans. I think that if Corey and Jared ever get on the same page about what's going on, I'm like a dream catcher for the strays for sure, Taylor. I really think that this is the kind of thing that Corey could convince Jared to come back to, the Izzy's and Cirie's of the alliance and bring back. But they're all in a dreamlike state right now. So who knows?
I mean, at the end of the day, Matt is the biggest problem for both Corey and Jared, because it's Matt that is feeding all of this information back and forth. It's Matt that's replaced Corey in the structure. It's Matt that gives Cirie the ability and confidence to like make all these moves against Jared's interests and against Corey. And so if they were to find some way to oust Matt from the structure, I think that they would be in a much better position. But I don't think either of them even recognize that Matt is their problem right now. No. Nor do I think that Jared would recognize enough that this is a bad enough comment to bring up to anybody.
No, I think Jared's like, oh yeah, what a totally normal thing for one bro to say to the other. Okay, move on. And it just like, but I do think that if he were to bring it up to Corey, which I don't think he would, because I think he knows that how Corey feels about, these kind of comments about women and such in general, because Corey's had enough of like every time you open your mouth about women, it scares me, bro. I don't know what you're going to say. I'm nervous about what you're going to do. So I think that Jared's kind of learned to not bring this up to Corey, but if it ever did, I could see it manifesting in a really fascinating set of strategic alliance shifting, but I don't think it's going to happen.
All right. Well, let's get to the meat of the situation here. This all starts earlier in the day because word is going around that Cam and Red are planning to put up Blue and America next week. And those are the conversations that they've been having. And I'm already doing an aside. I apologize, but just to illustrate this, yes, Red and Cam are talking about targeting America and Blue. If let's talk about a little more casual misogyny. Red's being super weird about America and how often she flirts and the amount of times he says, "I don't trust that girl. I 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 don't trust the way she talks to Cam. I don't like how she rubs all up on him." Red, very anti-America. And so this is the thing that's confusing people. Why in the world would Red and Cam go after America? It makes absolutely no sense for their games. The answer is Red's weird about America. The answer from the other side is they're lying to us. But this is going around. Red and Cam are going to put up Blue and America. And Cirie is like, well, if that's true, if they're actually that bad at the game, then maybe we should keep Blue in the game and take out Jag to keep them calm so that they make that mistake for us. And it's just like we did with Heisem. It's just like we did with Riley. Like, it's the same thing. But the problem is there's no way they're really that dumb. It could just be a ploy. We need to figure this out. Let's send in our number one top rat. Let's send in Matt. He'll find out the answer for us. When he comes back to us with the answer of what they're really saying to the person they trust, will they really do this? Then we'll determine whether or not we keep Jag. So the flip is already flipping back.
It's so funny to me that Cirie, a woman who is incredible at placating people and has like a deep empathy that she plays with so that people get drawn into her mist, has this blockade that comes up when it comes to Red. Red literally wears overalls without a shirt, okay? And what about this do you think? And he's saying, hey, Cirie, I mean, you're like my number one, essentially. I got, besides Cam, I mean, like, we're all kind of together. We're going to funnel you all the information in the world. And it is amazing to me that this can't be seen as something really true. It's like the other, like Cirie's side and alliance in the house is so good that they're bad at the game. And the other side is just bad at the game, period.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about like Cirie just consistently overestimates her competition, which only works when it. The funny thing is she overrates her competition so often. When she finally landed on an accurate read on Corey, like because she overrated Corey to the point where he became accurately rated because he really was her biggest threat. Corey has simultaneously fallen in his gameplay and is now again being overrated by Cirie.
It's just a cycle that happens every 48 hours or so in this house, and it's just an interesting cycle. I wonder when people will catch on.
Yeah. So all of this is happening. Felicia decides that this is later in the night. Felicia decides she's going to tell Jared about the flip. Mm-hmm. She says, Jared, I'm not supposed to say anything, but we want to get rid of Blue. How would you feel about that? And Jared, who has had an entire day to think about what he's going to say to this, immediately comes prepped with, oh, I don't know about that. I mean, here's the thing. And he lists off these arguments. And this is, again, one of those situations. I'm going to give the Jared arguments here. He's going to be repeating them many, 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 many times throughout the night. So here are the main ones. I don't trust Jag. That's the biggest one. Jag is not trustworthy. He's playing us. He's begging for us to help him now. But what happens when he wins HOH? He's going to have options. He's gonna puff his chest out just like he did when he won the veto last week. Remember last week when we didn't trust Jag because he won the veto and didn't talk to us anymore? Imagine that, but 10 times worse because now he's the HOH. He doesn't trust Jag. Jag is, sure, a better competitor for them to beat Red, but it's just Red. It's everyone against Red. We don't need to be that worried. Blue is a perfectly fine competitor, and Jag being a better one just means that it'll be tougher to take Jag out later. So we don't need Jag to just beat one person in the HOH. It doesn't make sense. This is just like the Heisem thing again, just like the Riley thing again. We should not keep Jag. It doesn't make sense. He's pitching all of this to Felicia, who doesn't really care.
Felicia at this point, which is so interesting. Felicia as a maternal figure, we'll say, for Jared in this house, is kind of, she's not even trying to placate him at all. She's just like, well, I hear you, and no, that's just, we just wanted to make sure that, you heard it from us, and that you can, this is something that we're considering. Not, she doesn't know that Cirie's already had the conversation, of course. And then he has, like, the first time ever is able to actually talk to Cirie, and actually kind of stands up to her a little bit, in a way that we haven't really seen him really stick to his guns like this before.
Yes. Before that happens, though, Felicia does tell Jared, well, Jared, I have something else I wanted to bring up with you. I have a final two with Cirie, but she's been running her mouth too much. So what if we did something?
And you know what? I never heard the she's been running her mouth too much thing. Is that literally what she said? I thought Jared had stretched that out a little bit.
I think she was saying, like, so basically Felicia's issue with Cirie is that, so, okay, I think you have to get yourself into Felicia's head, right? Last week, she really wanted to keep Hisam.
Right.
And she was pushing to keep Hisam hard, and Corey was the stick in the mud, stopping that from happening. This is part of what started to get Corey in trouble, because Felicia was like, screw Corey. I can't believe he's stopping my fun. And so now she's got another flip. She's like, okay, this is the flip this time. It's Jag. We're going to blindside everyone. We're going to say, screw Cam and Red. This is the way. And now all of a sudden, Cirie is again saying, like, maybe we shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And Felicia feels like, no, this is happening again. Cirie's talking to all these people. She's going to shut down my fun flip, and I am done with it. And so that's why I think that's why she approaches Jared early. She wants to, like, lock him in as a vote. And she's trying to, like, be like, Jared, like, let's do this, like, you and me. This Cirie thing, that's over. But if we lock you in, then maybe we can make sure this flip happens, and all of this stuff. And so when she says that, like, Cirie's talking too much, I think that she genuinely just means, like, Cirie's, like, doing too much. And I think Cirie has let her guard down around Felicia, thinking that, like, Felicia is part of her family, that she's, she's got everyone so misted. But Felicia, she wants her own things. And Cirie in this moment wasn't giving it to her.
And the other thing too is that earlier in the evening, Felicia, Mimi, and Izzy had a conversation about not telling Jared until Thursday, and then making sure that Jared wouldn't tell Blue until, like, before the vote's going to happen, that this flip is likely going to happen. And then I love that Felicia's like, well, I'll just go tell Jared myself. And then they have this conversation. So there's a lot of things happening here that actually arm Jared well enough to go back to Cirie and say, hey, by the way, here's everything that Felicia's doing too. And saying.
Yeah. And so while all of this is happening throughout the day, Cirie and Izzy have been running around, and this is so Felicia feels like they're running around trying to put an end to the flip. The reality is that they have just finally come to the conclusion that they don't want to end the flip. That they literally probably 10 minutes before Cirie talks to Jared about his conversation with Felicia, Izzy and Cirie were like, okay, definitely lock this one in. We're keeping Jag. That's the plan. We don't believe at all what Red is saying about who he will go after. He is not going to come after America and Blue. He's coming after us. That we don't believe it. We're keeping Jag. That's it. All right, lock it in. Let's go. Cirie walks into the storage room, and Jared says, hey, first of all, Felicia just told me that you two have a final two and that you run your mouth. And then she proposed one with me. And Cirie's like, Felicia?
Well, listen, this is the power that Blue has to transfer, the mom power essentially from Cirie to Felicia. Now Felicia wants to make this final two with her son. And then maybe it comes out at the end of the day that there's just been a whole blockage in Felicia's mind for years. And she didn't know. She actually did have a son. His name's Jared. And all of this happens. I don't know. It's such a random thing for Felicia to do. It's such a weird part of the game and the week, I think, in order to do this. Like, why not wait and see when scramble hour happens, which was due in a couple of hours, to see what comes up before putting all of this on the table?
I'm just imagining that Felicia makes this final two with Jared, and then they make it all the way to the final two. And in jury questioning, Blue stands up and says, Jared, Felicia, I hope it's okay to say this now, but I'm just so proud of you, mother and son, for making it to the end.
And Cirie goes, wait a damn minute. Hold on.
He goes, wait. Hold on.
Listen, I may not be up there, but I deserve just as much credit for my son getting this far in the game because I laid down my entire gameplay and strategy for this man.
So Cirie is disappointed in Felicia, but she doesn't have time to be disappointed in Felicia because Jared also says, and she also talked to me about this flip, and I argued against it, and here are my arguments. And he gives the same arguments. Mm-hmm. Why he thinks that Jag should go. He doesn't trust Jag, so on and so forth. He trusts Blue. He feels like Blue is a better person for them to bring. And like, he is totally right. Like,
he is
totally right. Not only from his perspective, but like also from theirs. Like, Jag is just a much worse person to bring along because he is connected to Matt more. Mm-hmm. He actually still does maintain relationships with America and Corey. And if he were to win power, like, there are all kinds of things that could be ratted out to him that could put you in a bad spot if need be. And he is a better competitor and harder to get out. And Blue, as Jared correctly points out to Cirie, he's like, I would so much rather have somebody that doesn't even know how to play this game than somebody like Jag who's like figuring it out. Because Blue is just in La La Land and would literally do whatever Jared said, despite saying that he will go out on her HOH. We know that's not going to happen. He's definitely correct. Now, when I'm watching, I'm like, shh, Jared, shh.
Don't spill all the beans yet. No, it's so true. I'm really curious how people truly view Blue as a player, and like, who is Blue actually connected to besides Jared at this point?
Nobody. Absolutely nobody.
I feel it's just like, objectively, he's telling all the correct facts. And I give him so much kudos because I sat there last night being like, I'm actually team Jared on this one. Cirie, maybe listen and just hear him out and just think of all that beautiful strategy that I know you have.
Well, here's the problem. Jared can't give the full reasoning why this makes sense because he's like cheating on, like he can't tell his mom about the extent of his relationship with Blue because she'd be so pissed at him. So he's lying about his relationship with Blue while also saying that he trusts Blue. And so from Cirie's perspective, it's like, you trust Blue way too much. You think you have this relationship with Blue, but that doesn't exist. But it does exist. And she already knows the secret, and she couldn't care less.
Which is like, I understand, like, this is so much more about a son being afraid of his mother, really, at the end of the day, of being like, oh man, what's mom going to think about me? Because at the end of the day, it'd be so much easier for him to be like, all right, I'm going to be honest with you. I spilled the beans, but Blue is so inept of a player. She doesn't even know it's you. She thinks it's Felicia. And I just want to prove that as further points for two things. One, yeah, I know. Save me the lecture. I understand the gravity of everything. But if anything, I have found out that she is the perfect person to keep for these reasons. She's going to be loyal to me. No problem. I have her in my back pocket. And number two, you could literally hand her all the information on a plate. You could say all these wonderful little, clues for a week on end. Oh, I've been to Fiji. I'm connected in this area. And instead of going to the one other person that has competed on a reality show in Fiji, you go to a completely different person in the house. This is the perfect person for us to control moving forward. Jag has a mind of his own and he has connections of his own, period.
Yes. And the response from Cirie to Jared making these arguments is probably the most angry and flustered Cirie I've ever seen on a show, which, makes sense. She's dealing with family. She is not happy. She pushes back hard. She says, if that's it, is that it? That's fine. We're then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're just us. All right. I guess it's just going to be a tie vote and Cam's going to break the tie and we're all going to be and he says, no, what do you mean? Why? She's like, he's going to be 5-5. She's like, why? You don't have to do that. Like, we're going to vote to keep him. He's like, that doesn't make sense. Let's have a conversation. And she's like, clearly nothing can be said to convince you at this point. Clearly, you are not even considering any other option. He's like, no, I want to converse. I want to be open. And she's like, are you open though? He's like, yeah, of course. She's like, then what's the conversation to be had? Because it doesn't seem like there's a conversation to be had. And he's like, listen, I just don't trust Jag. And she's like, I don't trust Blue. And he's like, good, but I don't trust Jag. And she's like, well, more people don't trust Blue. He's like, what are you talking about? Everyone didn't trust Jag just last week. Everything that they said about Blue or they said about Jag last week. And she's like, no, that's not the same. And weren't you the one that disagreed with us about Jag? He's like, I was wrong last week. She was like,
yep.
He's like, you literally sent me to go spy on him last week. And she was like, and what did you find? Nothing. And it's like going back and forth. And he's like, listen, I want to have a conversation with everyone. I want us to have the conversation. She's like, what conversations? And she says, well, what do you want me to do? Just tell them no? Just tell them I'm making this decision? She's like, no. She's like, so what? So that's what I'm saying. I want to have a conversation. She's like, but the conversation, is it going to work? He's like, what do you mean? They could say something that might change my mind. She's like, if I can't say something that will change your mind, they're not going to say something that's going to change your mind. So what's the point of the conversation? So the point of the conversation is that I don't want to just say no. I don't want them to be mad at me. It's like, I don't know. Listen, I just don't trust Jag. I don't trust Jag. I don't trust Blue.
And round it goes like a merry-go-round for quite a while. And it's also just so fascinating to me that Cirie also brings up, by the way, Blue said she'd put you up on the block. How about that? And he's like, I don't believe it. It kind of blesses.
No, he's like, yeah, well, guess what? Yeah, Blue is saying she's going to put you on the block to me and Felicia today. And he's like, that doesn't matter. And he's like, why are you always telling me that I can't trust my people and I have to go with your people that didn't tell me anything? And Jag is saying my name. Jag is talking to Izzy about how I'm leaking information to Corey in America. And she's like, what? Who said that? Izzy said that? He's like, yeah, Izzy said that to me. And she's like, oh man, Izzy. And so, and they just keep going back and forth. And Cirie is very upset with him. And he is very upset with her. And like, we talked about how the Felicia, like the Blue thinking Felicia thing is like a sitcom. Like this whole season is like a sitcom. Oh, yeah. Like, you know how you talk, like when you're talking about sitcoms and you're like, oh man, it's just so unrealistic that, there's just little pieces of information that would just clear everything up. And nobody's saying that information. Instead, it's leading to these wacky situations. Yeah. That's this house. That's happening. Like literally, Jared just needs to say, listen, okay, we're sleeping together. We're a thing now. I told her the secret. She knows. It's fine. I've got her.
She's good. Let's just move on. And
the missing condoms? That was me.
Hello. Like, that's also like, where do they think the condoms went? Do they think that like somebody else is doing stuff with the condoms? Like who else would be engaged in sexual activity in this house that isn't America and Corey, who I mean, if they're lying about the boundaries that they have, like that's the best lie in the house at this point. It's just fascinating to me that nobody's making that connection either. And like when you say this is like a sitcom, it's almost like if House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones were a sitcom. That's what this feels like. I feel like this is like Cirie's alliance is the whole Greens of like, you've got like, Aemon Targaryen is Izzy, and you got Aegon the second, and that's Jared, and they're like kind of on the same page, but they're not, and they're fighting for like, mom's attention and what's best for their side, but it's completely different and wrong. And it's so fascinating to me to see that nobody has any kind of critical thinking skills in this house.
Yeah, and I think Cirie is just seeing Jared swept up in the blue situation, which he is. Let's be clear. When I say that like Jared is like on theoretically the correct side of the argument for them, he's come up with those arguments, but obviously the real reason he's arguing is because he's emotionally attached to blue. And I think that's what Cirie sees. She's like, you can come up with whatever logical arguments you want, but I know the real reason you're doing this is because you're emotionally attached to blue, and that's a distraction. It's causing you to make these arguments, even though they do kind of make sense. But she's like, she is a problem, and she needs to go. And so now, even though she had just been considering keeping blue, literally like 60 minutes, if this conversation had happened an hour prior, it might have been fine, but she had just decided she wanted to keep Jag, and now that he's pushing so hard and not taking any of her advice or input, she's like, now she's determined Jag needs to stay, but Jared won't do it, so I guess it's just not going to work here. So she goes and talks to Izzy, and she tells Izzy everything. She's like, oh, it's Jared, he won't do this. He's blinded. I'm telling you, blue is going to be his downfall in this game. This is such a problem. How do this? I guess we're just it's just not going to work anymore. We can't keep Jag, I guess. And Izzy says, well, I mean, do we need Jared's vote? And when I tell you, Cirie's face goes from like, what do you mean?
What else could we potentially be looking at here?
Well, could we approach America and Corey? Could we trust them with the vote? Well, then we wouldn't need Jared. We could just go around him. And Cirie's like, man, I hate to go against him. This is crazy, but I mean, maybe that's what we need to do. He just doesn't understand. Blue's going to be his downfall in this game, and he thinks he knows everything. But yeah, maybe this is what we need to be doing.
It is fascinating to me that it takes this long to come to that conclusion. It was like, how long was the argument in the storage room? Like a good half an hour or so.
I like it.
It's probably like 5 minutes, but it felt like an hour. It went on for so long, and then to not even the two of them were just so butting heads that nobody could think, okay, well, or especially Cirie think, let's look outside the box here. And also the best part about this is they're not believing Red and Cameron either. Like they have so many, they've forced themselves to distrust people who don't distrust them yet. And Izzy is absolutely correct to be like, okay, well, if this is what our game plan is, why don't we go to America and Corey? The information I have is that America would definitely vote that way. I think Corey would need a little bit of, massaging here.
Yes, and that's because there has been another side quest during the day, which is that America is, either playing Jag or has kind of come back around to Jag, and I'm kind of more willing to believe the latter. That she would still prefer Jag to stay, even though he kind of screwed her over. And she's talking to Jag about getting numbers. She's talking about how he should pitch to Izzy and Cirie. She is trying to be like, Jag, we can still make this happen. You would have me and Corey. You just need Izzy and Cirie in them, and then you would be able to stay. And from Jag's perspective, he already has Izzy, Cirie in them, and he's waiting on this magical like Jared against blue vote that's going to be his 6th vote that saves him. And he's like, why am I banking on Jared when I can have America and Corey? Like,
Right.
I'm close to America and Corey. They want me to stay. Their only thing is that they don't know that Izzy, Cirie, and them are voting to keep me. So he goes to Izzy, and he's like, Izzy, I know we talked about this already. And when he did, she went back to Cirie, and Cirie said if he tells America and Corey, it's over for him. And so Izzy went back to him and said, don't tell Cirie, don't tell America and Corey. It's like, I know you told not to tell America and Corey, but like, it just doesn't it make more sense to, like, instead of a 6-4 vote, make it an 8-2 vote? Like, I just feel like, why, if we can get that many votes, it just feels like a little more comfortable to get to that point. I think they want me to stay. They just need to know that you are in. They're like, wow, we can't trust them. Can't trust them. They'll tell Cam and Red. And he's like, I don't think so, though. And so this idea that they could get America and Corey is like, okay, Izzy goes back to Jag and is like, maybe we should tell America and Corey, and then that takes Jared off the hook, and it can be a 7-3 vote. He's like, oh, so Jared doesn't really want to vote for me to stay, is what you're saying.
Oh, interesting. Okay, information that's new.
So that's all happening over there. Izzy says to Cirie in this conversation, though, after all of the trash talking of Jared, she's like, Izzy, or Cirie, I hope you know how hard I have been working with Jared to make it seem like it's not me and you. You know, I don't want him to think that you're with me. I want him to feel comfortable talking to me about you, and I don't want him to feel left out.
And my favorite part about this is Cirie goes, oh, he won't. He won't. He knows better. He knows better than to talk about me in this house.
Yeah.
He has too much respect for me. This would be like a disrespectful move if he were to ever come and talk to you about me. And I love just the delusion that Izzy has that I really do think that Izzy thinks that she has kind of replaced Jared as the golden child.
I mean, let's talk about Izzy's side quest through the day, which is that she is in the have-not room. She's not in the comic room anymore, and so she doesn't have as much access to Cirie, and she is like an addict with Cirie. I mean, we've talked about this before. When she is in Cirie's presence, she literally, like, I mean, count the amount of times she looks over at Cirie. Watch her as she will literally, like, somebody will say something, she'll look at Cirie, wait for Cirie's reaction, and then react. Or she will say something and be like, so I was thinking, right? Yes. Okay. So I was thinking, and when she's not able to talk to Cirie, she's like jittery. She's like, oh man, I feel like I haven't been able to talk to Cirie lately.
I need to get my fix.
Like, I need to talk to Cirie. It's just people are all around her all the time. It's so annoying. I can't believe, like, oh, it's so frustrating. I need to talk to Cirie. Which, by the way, she's not alone with. We're going to talk a little bit. Red also feels this way.
I don't know. Like, I think we need to brand Cirie's mist a little differently. I don't think it's as mist as much as it's like Cirie's heroin. Like, it is just
Right?
like people are like addicted to her presence and addicted to having conversations and her opinions and such, which, like, in weeks where this should be an uphill battle for Cirie, I mean, the biggest thing she has to worry about is her own son at the end of the day.
People are constantly flocking to Cirie at every like, she's in the shower, somebody comes up to her. She's in the kitchen, somebody comes up to her. She's in the hammock by herself. All of a sudden, 7 people are sitting around the hammock. Like, it's true. Like, people are just constantly, everybody wants more Cirie time. Even Corey's like, yeah, I need to find more time to talk to Cirie. Cameron throughout the day is like, I gotta talk to Cirie. Red is like, Cirie, I don't know. She feels like she's avoiding me. I really want to talk to Cirie. Izzy is talking about how much she wants to talk to Cirie. And so let me tell you, when Cirie pulls Izzy into the comic room after an entire day of Izzy not getting enough Cirie time, and Cirie tells Izzy, Jared is he's done. He's being a bad boy. And I'm mad at him. And Izzy's like, oh, okay. So I'm the good kid. I'm the good child.
Yeah.
And also Cirie says, and I also found out that Felicia is ratting out my final 2 with her to Jared. So now I don't trust Felicia. And Izzy's like, oh,
Be still my heart.
So man, yeah, just me then, huh? Just whoo, man.
Listen, I'll let you know, Cirie. I'm a loyal soldier, and I will absolutely placate anybody you need me to. And I love you. I love you. I love you. She's like a puppy. It's if it weren't so creepy, it'd be cute.
Yeah, yeah. So Izzy's gonna go and talk to Jared. So sorry. That's one of the things that Cirie tells Izzy is that he's saying that he's mad at Jag because Jag said his name. He said that you said that he said his name. And Izzy's like, what? No. And she's like, all I said was that Jag thinks that that Jared told Corey in America the stuff about the 7 deadly sins. Cirie's like, yeah, well, you need to clarify this. And she's like, okay, yeah. So I'll tell him. Yeah, I'll just tell him that it's just Jag thought that that he was the one that said something to Corey. And Cirie's like, I would maybe even leave that part out, actually. Just say that, that he thought that Corey and Jared were close, maybe. I don't know. Like advocating now for Izzy to lie to her son about the information. So she goes up and she says, hey, Jared, I just want to clarify something. Jag did not say that you said that you gave information to Corey, so on and so forth. But Jared doesn't care. That was just another reason. And so Jared gives all the same reasons against why he thinks this flip should happen. And he also adds in, like, by the way, I'm also really upset that you guys had this conversation without me. I would never have done that to you, Izzy. And Izzy's like, no, I wanted you to be brought in. I said immediately after that this was not my decision. I am so sorry that it happened, though, Jared. But I do think that we should make this flip happen. We should keep Jag. And he keeps arguing against it. And she eventually comes around to, okay, well, how about this? Like, how would you feel if, say, we got the votes without you? Like, how would you feel about that? And he's like, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, I guess. I mean, good luck. Good luck trying to flip Corey in America. You're never going to get them. But, it is what it is.
I hope that his comic says it is what it is on it for BB. It would be so good. Just to, for like, it's so funny that that's his default. I'm thinking about something. How do I work through how I'm going to respond to this? It is what it is. Okay. And then I'm going to think about it for 24 hours, then come up with my response.
Okay. At this point, I think I need to make sure that everyone's on the same page about this. I need to give some reminder information that yes, they're trying to figure out how can we get the votes without Jared. Can we go to Corey in America? They seem like they might want to keep Jag. Well, after he ratted them out, that might be a little bit of an issue. But what if they rat them out to Cam and Red? They feel like it might not be possible without Jared, that Jared is the only person that might be able to help them take out Blue. That's actually not true. It's actually not even remotely true because the conversations happening between Bowie and Cam and Red are, we'd kind of like to keep Jag, but the Alliance wants Jag out, and we're trying to be team players here. So I mean, we can't express that desire. If they just talked to Red and Cam about this, they would be so down. Like Red would be the biggest holdout, but he's also the most loyal to the Alliance. He would absolutely, in fact, later in the night, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, and we'll get there. But like later in the night, he's like, I hope they're just talking about flipping this vote, thinking that we care, because we don't. And they could literally, like, before all of this, at the start of the week, when they talked about Jared needing Jared to be the vote, I was like, they could just go to Bowie. They have Bowie, but they've been pushing Bowie out over the last few days that they don't have Bowie anymore, except they do still have Bowie because they still have Bowie, Red, and Cam, who would all be fine with this. In fact, literally nobody in the house wants to keep Blue except for Jared, the one person they're relying on to keep Blue.
It is fascinating to me. Again, I think it all comes down to Cirie, Izzy, and Felicia in particular, a little bit of Mimi, all think Bowie, Red, Cam, Corey, and America are playing way harder than they actually are, or that they're actually playing the game, in which they are not. It is just really fascinating to see. And because they are playing so hard, they fill in the gaps with false information. It is so much fun to watch. It just makes for great feeds.
I'll say this. If Blue stays, if Jag leaves, it's only because, like I said, of the 10 votes, 9 of them want Jag to stay. Corey, less so now. America, iffy because of the Jag ratting them out thing. But they, at the start of the week, certainly wanted Jag to stay. 9 of the votes, for the most part, want Jag to stay. One person doesn't want that to happen. But the house is so fractured and paranoid that all of the little groups feel like they don't have the votes to keep Jag. And so they don't want to stand out. And the one group that does have the numbers to keep Jag is relying on the one person, the only person that doesn't want to get rid of Blue as the vote that would cinch the whole thing, and doesn't trust any of the other smaller groups to fill in the gap that person leaves. And so the one person not fitting into the puzzle means that the entire thing is broken, and one person might decide who leaves this week, and that person might be Jared.
I mean, Shakespeare couldn't write this. It's just fantastical. It's amazing to me that there's like people just can't think outside the box of maybe I should have a genuine conversation with this person and really pay attention to how they're saying things, what they're saying, if it can be backed up, if it can be corroborated, which pretty much everything can be. And it's fascinating that nobody's taking those steps.
So that's happening over there. Jared is upset with this whole thing. Jared's gonna talk to Blue. And she's telling him about how, man, it's such a boring week. Nothing's going on. I did talk to Felicia about you. I was talking about like how I like you and all of that. Isn't this like I talked to her? It was pretty fun. And so as they're giggling about that, his real mom, Cirie, walks out, pissed off at Jared for wanting to keep Blue, sees them, and walks away. And it was this moment that I tweeted. I was just like, this is the best Big Brother season, I think.
I mean, it's just so full of juicy nuggets of entertainment. It really is. I love, and like earlier in the night, there's so many times having this Jared Cirie dynamic in the house, both strategically is fascinating to watch, but also just on a personal level. And then you have like the Blue, side plot here, side quest. But what I loved is earlier in the night, there was just this complete conversation about Cirie talking about, to Bowie. And I think maybe America, they were just chilling out in the hammocks. And she was like, oh, I don't initiate anything when it comes to sex. And I was just like, I would love for Jared to just have to come up to this conversation and be like, oh, I am forced to, it would be weird if I turned away and was like, nope, I don't want to talk about this when whatever. I just like those little moments. We live for this. This is great.
Yeah. And so Jared also asks, he asks Blue, like, how do you think you're doing in the game? Because he's just been reamed out from Cirie and Izzy about how awful Blue is at the game and how she never talks to anybody and nobody likes her and nobody trusts her and everyone wants her out. And all of those things are true. She says, how do you think you're doing in the game, Blue? And she says, I don't know. I think I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm like, I've got some great relationships and, I think, I think that, sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was the question? And you can see on his face, like, oh my God. And she's like, you know what? I really want to win HOH next week because I want people to come to me instead of me having to go to them. And Jared's like, that's kind of the thing. I feel like you need to go to people more often.
I feel like somebody who is on the block shouldn't feel this complacent. That maybe you should be campaigning. And I know that last week Cam didn't campaign but at all. But that's not a model with which I would say to follow.
Yeah. So through all of this is happening. Matt finally comes back to the group, his task complete from earlier in the day, figuring out what are Red and Cam actually going to do with the nominations. He comes to the group and he says, yeah, so they're saying they're going to put up Blue in America still. But they're really sketched out about Izzy. They're like, Izzy, apparently they've heard that Izzy's coming for them, but they still want to put up Blue in America. And for a moment, I was like, this is true.
Right.
But this is so unbelievable that they might think that Matt is lying to them for telling the truth. They didn't.
Thankfully.
Because they blamed everyone else first.
They went through a checklist. They said, okay, list of people in the house. Well, first of all, Bowie, we don't know her, so forget her. Let's go through the next people. Okay, Red and Cam, we'll send people out there, but we're still going to blame them. Corey and America, yep, we got to blame them. And then absolutely got to blame, Blue and Jared here. This is all the things that we need to blame. And who else? Oh, well, let's throw in our own alliance members. Felicia, yep, okay, great. It's fantastic to just watch all of this just implode.
They're super confused. Are Red and Cam not on the same page? Is somebody lying? Like, why would they say Izzy is coming for us and then say that their targets are actually America and Blue? It makes no sense. And how did they know that Izzy is coming for them? Somebody's leaking information again. Who could it? Corey? Probably Corey. It's got to be somebody who's leaking this information. Something just doesn't make sense. Cirie and Izzy go off alone to try and figure out who leaked this. Cirie's like, who did you tell that you were targeting Red? And Izzy's like, I don't know. How about literally the entire house? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? She's like, I don't know. I've only talked to us. Like, I did tell Corey. And Felicia. I mean, those are like the only two people other than you two, and the entire house. What do you mean?
I basically what I did was I got behind the Big Brother announcing system, and I just went over and I said, house guests, next week I will be targeting Red and Cam. Yeah. And I just want you all to know. La, 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 la. And Cirie was like, oh, I'm in the bathroom. I'm not paying attention to this either. So I don't know where they would have got this from. Incredible. At this point, it's like, oh, I heard it from a bullhorn outside, except for that bullhorn was held by Izzy in the backyard, not even outside of the house.
Yeah. So she's like, okay, so Corey, again, struck by Corey. And she's like, you can't tell Corey stuff. She's like, I feel like I haven't been. So have you told him recently? Have you said anything recently? And she was like, no. She's like, how did this? I mean, you said you told Felicia. It's like, yeah. Oh, man, I don't know about Felicia anymore. And that's crazy to say right now, but I don't know about Felicia. Like, because if she's telling Jared these things about me, like, who else is she talking to? And it's so frustrating because I can't talk to Felicia. I can't fix it because I can't tell her how I know that she's talking about me. And so she's going to spend the rest of the night constantly in every situation, every conversation with Felicia. We're not going to bring it up because it's too much detail. But like from now on, every conversation that Felicia is a part of, that Cirie is a part of, no matter what the topic is, Cirie brings it back around to like, that would be like if we were saying each other's names. That would be like if I was saying your name, Felicia. Like, I would never do that. That would be a terrible thing to do. And if I did, I would tell you if I did something like that. And Felicia being like, yeah, because Corey sucks. And he's telling them some things, right? And she's like, yeah, but like that would be like if I was saying something about you. And obviously I wouldn't do that. And Felicia's like, yeah, we would never do that.
I like how it has like it could be infiltrate every part of the house too. It has nothing to do with Gabe. She'll be like, I was thinking about putting this seasoning on this meat. Well, putting that seasoning on the meat would be like if you were to like, bring up my name to somebody else, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just going to turn into that. And I love the snowball effect. It's very great.
So all of this is happening, and people are running around, and the light bulb goes off in Red's head. Something's going on. I'm seeing Cirie and Jared talk. I'm seeing Jared pull blue. I'm seeing Izzy talk to Jared. Izzy talk to Cirie. Something is happening. And I feel like we're targets again, Cam. And Cam's like, yeah, I knew it. I mean, Bowie must have talked. That's what happened. That's what happened. Because again, Cam can't ask questions or even make a statement that has a question mark at the end. He needs to say a statement that is a guess and then revise the statement if there's wrong. Like if Cam were to say, oh man, this genuinely happened. Paraphrased. Oh man, they're worried about us. Cirie and Felicia, this is what they did to Heisem. They're getting rid of the big competitors. We just won back to back, and now Cirie is concerned about us being competitors. And Red says, no, not Cirie. I trust Cirie. Cirie is good. It's the rest of them. Cirie's trying to help us with that. And Cam goes, Cirie is good. You're right. He doesn't know. Sorry. I said you're right. Cam would never. Cirie is good because Cam just needs to describe that he's now telling Red, based on the information he just got from Red, what the situation is. Cirie is fighting for us, but the rest of them are after us because we won competitions. They're worried about us being comp threats. Like he can't not be educating the person he's talking to.
He has to talk at people for sure. And he has to be all knowing, and he's got to be also the savior of everything. And he has to, like, I'm actually kind of surprised the idea has not crossed him to come in and save Blue. Like, that's just like, a damsel in distress. Like, perfect. I can make my way. But I think it's because it's clear that Jared is going to be, like, that's his damsel kind of thing. So it's fascinating. Cam's mailing in there, being a nice.
I made the comparison on Twitter. I've been thinking about that. To me, and I get that lots of people have their own comparisons. To me, it's Pinky in the Brain. It's Cam as the brain. Are you pondering what I'm pondering, Pinky? And then just blaming Red for anything bad that happens because he's the mastermind, but his plans also suck. But like he's the know-it-all who knows everything, and Red is just kind of like no, but Cirie's like my mom. Cirie's great. I
also like that you can't make pink without red. So here we are. There we go. It's written on the wall. That's a perfect comparison.
So they think that Bowie has screwed them over. Bowie has ratted them out briefly. Red says, I've been trying to talk to Cirie, but she's been avoiding me. Last week when she was with the Heisem thing, she called Bowie her guard, security, to prevent people from talking to her. Now she's running around with Izzy all the time. I can't talk to her. Maybe, I don't know. Is it time to flip? Because I feel like she's avoiding me. It's like too late now. I just need to talk to Cirie. Hopefully this is just about flipping the vote, and they're not telling us because they think we care. And that's when they talk about that. He does finally get some time to talk to Cirie later into the night, and he just goes off about Izzy. She's so rude. She's clearly doesn't like me. I'm hearing that she's like saying my name. And Cirie's like, well, what's going on? How is this? Is somebody trying to stir things up? Is somebody trying to get in between our legend alliance full of legends? Is that what's happening? Who could be doing this? Do you think is Corey doing something? Is like who's doing this? That's not Izzy. And he's like, I don't know. I just feel like Izzy is just so mad at me. She's like, let me go get Izzy. She goes and gets Izzy in front of everyone. Izzy, come here, which pisses off Felicia, who's like, oh my God, they're talking to Red, and she just brought Izzy in. They're never going to get rid of Blue. They want to do what Red wants to do because they like Red. You know what Red told me, Mimi? Red told me that he sees Cirie like a mom and that he trusts her more than anyone else in the house other than Cam. I thought we were against Red. She's not going to want to get rid of Red. She's doing some I am telling you, Mimi, this is not good. Meanwhile, Cirie's trying to get Jag to stay, and she still hates Red.
The battle of the aunties is on. It is just so like, you know what? Honestly, this is turning into like, this could be epically like a Game of Thrones battle at the end of the day. And like, you know, Battle of the Bastards kind of thing. You know, we're going to have two very different powerful houses or like coming up against each other, right? I could absolutely see something manifesting that's going to drive a wedge. If the right person wins HOH next week, we could really see a proper implosion of the Cirie Felicia alliance.
Yes, people are asking in the chat, where is Mimi in all of this? She's right with Felicia. She's like, you're right. Cirie's against us. She's trying to keep Blue in the house. Mimi is like full on, probably even more so than Felicia, the hardest defender of keeping Jag. She's made a relationship with Jag and Matt, and she like it genuinely really benefits her to keep Jag in the house. She's one of the few people that it actually does make a lot of sense to keep Jag around, and she's pushing hard for it. And she's also upset when she's hearing from Felicia that Cirie's trying to stop it, because this is not the first time that this has happened, and that Cirie's been going and doing things that she doesn't like. And so that's all happening over there. Red says, I'm loyal. I want this alliance to work. We are legends. And so they agree they're going to call a meeting. And so the meeting is called. They're clearing the air. It's the Legend 25 meeting with Matt not there. And on one side, they're like, listen, if you've heard that Izzy is saying your name, it's only because we heard that you're trying to start an alliance with you two, Bowie, Matt, Corey, and America. And Cam's like, what? No, I would never do that. He was pitching it to Matt a few days ago. I would never do that. That's who's trying to make this. I've like one conversation with those people. This is absurd, because you guys are the ones that told me to get close to America and Corey. And so I should not be getting in trouble for it. Who could have is Corey doing this? No, Red says, no, not Corey, America. It's America's fault. I don't trust that girl. She's the one doing everything, Cirie. I've figured it out. It's America. She sucks. Do you see the way she acts in this house? It's America. She has ratted us out. I mean, come up with lies. And so they're like, oh man, what is America and Corey, I guess, are doing bad things. And they're like, we don't actually care about that. We care that you were apparently saying that Izzy was saying your name. Where did you get that from? He's like, I don't know. I just like, it's obvious. And they're like, okay. And so the air is, I guess, cleared up. They're like, so this is all fine. We've now cleared up the air. Everyone's happy. Everything's good. They don't discuss the vote, because if they did, they would have realized that they can all just keep Jag and everyone would be fine. Let's break. All right.
The end, right? No? I can't believe, like, it's like, this shows you the power of just having a conversation with people, right? And the entire night could have been avoided with all of these miscommunications if people just actually sat down and had conversations with those that they're like, I don't know about this person. Let me send somebody else and let me hear everything secondhand again and fuel the fire.
Yes. And so Cam is now convinced that that Corey and America have snaked them because yes, the two people you didn't propose the alliance to are the ones that ratted the alliance out. And the person you did propose the alliance to, Matt, could not have possibly done it. So he currently thinks that Corey and America are no good and that they need to go next. They are the new targets for Cam and Red, and Matt is in the clear. He did not get exposed for any of this. And so everyone goes downstairs. In the meantime, Jared's gonna pull Mimi aside, and he's like, "So Mimi, I've been thinking about the vote." She's like, "What do you mean?" "I was just considering maybe we get rid of blue." She's like, "Really?" It's like, "Yeah, I was thinking about it because I'm open-minded, and my thought was we definitely shouldn't do it, and here's all the reasons why."
I love a good red herring. Get her like hooked in on something and then just make sure that it's completely the opposite of what you're trying to do. It makes absolutely no sense for Jared to do this to Mimi, knowing that she was a part of the group with Felicia and Izzy that are very much on the let's vote out blue train. So I'm very interested. Like, does he think if he can get to every person individually that's going to help his case?
He thinks that if he can convince somebody else that it won't just be him saying no.
Right.
So he's trying to talk to Mimi without exposing that he knows, but is obviously pretty obvious. Mimi fights back hard, which just makes the discussion heated between him and Mimi all of a sudden. Because again, Mimi's like the biggest supporter of keeping Jag. And so this just devolves into them, going back and forth. And that everyone just passes out at this point. Like there's nothing to be done anymore this night. But none of it's resolved. Like this is all just still completely up in the air heading into today, day 28. There's so many reasons why Jag should stay based on who wants him to stay, even though their reasons for wanting him to stay are mostly bad. But literally it just requires one conversation for people to realize the votes are all there and Jared might be strong-armed into having to accept it. But in the meantime, Jared is going to continue to fight back, I would imagine, maybe give Blue advice, maybe go to Corey in America and be like, listen, you're with me, right? And so there's all kinds of stuff that's going to happen there. And in the meantime, Corey in America are talking about video games on the hammock.
I mean, that was the most important strategic conversation of the night, honestly. I mean, I learned a lot about how they can work together as gamers outside of the house that has nothing to do with the game that they are actually currently playing or playing, I guess, in quotation marks. Yeah, I can't wait to see if Corey or America win HOH this week, because that would absolutely, regardless of whoever stays, if it's Jag or Blue, that's going to be the thing that creates World War III in this house for sure. It's like, oh wow, the people that we kept throwing under the bus, like Corey was the person that we were just, who was our personal punching bag. He's going to be the person that, and now he has power. Now we have to suck up to him. And now everyone's going to have information about how everybody's been throwing him under the bus. Same with America. And so, I think the only thing that works for like the Cirie alliance in her favor is that I do think that they could pretty much unite to be like, yeah, you're going to want to put Cam and Red up on the block because they're coming for the two of you. And I think that'll work for them. But it's going to be fascinating if and when Corey and America wake up and see what's happening and how their games are, like, their stock value is so low right now in the house.
Yeah, and so of course through all of this as well, there's this twist. And there was speculation. People were getting called to the diary room that maybe people were being informed. Maybe people were even doing the competition through the diary room. It's hard to say. There was, Corey was briefly talking to Cirie about how it's 100 days. And so he expects a couple of buybacks. And Cirie was like, you're kidding me. And he even said at one point, like, there could be like a canceled eviction or something, which to me would indicate that he was not told that there was a twist coming, because why would he be speculating about something that he was trying to keep a secret?
Right.
But that's if they were even told anything that day, because it didn't seem like there was a lot of indication that anything had happened. I mean, nobody was like feeling extra comfortable other than Blue. So
I don't know. I feel like Corey is somebody that even though we think he should keep it close to the chest, is like,
It's
well,
fair.
I should tell Cirie and try to drop some hints in case this is something that I win. And I think that if he does happen to win this power, I think he'll make the mistake of telling people about it.
Yeah, he also was like, he was talking to Cirie about Blue and how she's always trash talking Jared, and Cirie was like, "Did you tell Jared about that? Did you tell Jared that she trash talking him?"
You
She's
should
like,
do that.
"Yeah, of course. Like, what am I most loyal in this house to Blue? Yeah, of course I told Jared. Like, no, yeah, Jared and Blue, me and America, Showman's Alliance. It's like, why are you joking about that?"
Corey, I'm gonna need you so bad to shut up. Just shut up. Just like I want Cirie to do well because obviously I love her very much, but at the same time, I really just don't want this to be a steamroll. And I love what America and Corey can bring to a game when they're concentrating on the game, when they are actually have their heads in the game. When they were not together as a showmance, those two were really fascinating to watch. And even though people were coming for America, she actually had some really great insights about how the game works, how the feeds work, how looking into how people are reacting to certain news and that kind of thing. It's completely been thrown out the window. I need them to wake up and also shut up. Please.
They need to like get over the honeymoon stage of their relationship and start focusing on other things like that. Like I do think that will eventually happen, but like in the meantime, they are very oblivious to a lot of the things that are happening around.
But Taran, how do you get over a honeymoon phase when the boundary is that you don't have the honeymoon phase in the
I was
house?
thinking about that. Like, if I was wondering if do you think the boundaries might prevent them from moving on because they're just,
Let's say frustrated, just a little frustrated.
We'll see. We'll see. And again, there might also just be like the wake up call, like that you were talking about, like a splash of water on your face might help get your head back in the game. But
Definitely.
yeah. So there's, hopefully you understand what happened last night now. We walked through it. There unfortunately is no conclusion yet. So tune in tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. I'll update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 25 live feeds. We'll also be live tonight with the Stock Watch, which will be very interesting. And I'm sure there's more to talk about there. We might have some updates for you by then. So make sure you fill out the survey for that if you want to participate or give your opinion. I'll tweet that out after this podcast. Beth, anything else you wanted to bring up from yesterday?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that honestly, it started off as kind of a slower day and then just ramped up. And I expect nothing less from this cast. I'm fascinated to see how the rest of this week ends.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, occasionally reacting to madness like this from last night. And also watching episodes live and all of that good stuff. You can find me on Twitter as well, tweeting out gifs of Pinky in the Brain and other such snide remarks about the season. And Instagram if you want to see pictures of me climbing. So, Beth, where can people find you?
You can find me on all my social media at AugustaWind11, including my Twitch channel, where I also normally stream our Goose Goose Duck adventures. So feel free to follow me everywhere at AugustaWind11.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today. And I will see all of you next time.